Game day's here, I can hear the crowd. Turn on the lights, fans are cranked up and loud. Red or blue, we wear it proud. Yeah, we love our teams in this border town. Chiefs and Royals, Boo Mizzou, Rock Chalk, Jayhawk, KU. Hear that drum pounding in your feet. Yeah, you're marching to the beat of KC.
What is going on, YouTube? What is going on, Kansas City? And what is going on, everybody? And welcome to the beat of KC. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lucas Murphy, and I truly am excited to provide you all this video today. There's a lot of nostalgia for me that goes into opening day, and truthfully, the start of the Kansas City Royals season. Now, obviously, the Royals, they started their season on the road in Atlanta, but this truly is the kickoff of the season. Opening day inside Kauffman Stadium. And many of you probably share the same sentiment that I do of what Kauffman and really what opening day represents for you. Ever since I was a kid, it was a tradition to go to opening day, to spend the experience, to spend the day out at Kauffman Stadium with tons and tons and tons of Royals fans. You tailgate beforehand, you're grilling the dogs, you're cooking the burgers, you're hanging out with other Royals fans in the parking lot. You might even find yourself playing some catch. You know, getting out and listening to the pregame on the radio. That is truly what the nostalgia and the environment truly brings. Ever since I was a kid, I remember missing high school to make sure that I found myself at Kauffman Stadium with some of my friends. And as I get older, it's going to be a tradition for me to carry on and pass that on to my kids, to take them to opening day so they truly understand what the kickoff of baseball truly means. And I think that's where, as a fan of the Kansas City Royals, it just is amazing. The experience, the amount of fans that show out. Today, there was 39,320 diehard Royals fans that were absolutely wanting to see a victory, and they were able to see that. But think about the people that are out there. They're taking their friends, they're taking their families, they're experiencing and creating those memories because of what opening day represents. And I think that's what's most exciting. We got to see, Terrence Gore's son throw out the first pitch to a Hall of Fame, Kansas City Royals Hall of Famer, and Alex Gordon. It's unfortunate Terrence Gore passed away, but it was a great way to honor Terrence Gore. And JJ Picollo is a phenomenal representation of that. He obviously had his family out there, Terrence Gore's family, and to see his son throw an absolute dart for a strike to Alex Gordon just really kind of pulled on the emotional heartstrings because of what Terrence Gore provided this Kansas City Royals team when it mattered in playoff baseball. He was a significant part of the run, and obviously he would go get more rings outside of Kansas City, so he impacted other fan bases and other organizations, and so it was incredible to see that as well. And obviously the Kansas City Royals, because of their location, they're well known for their flyovers, and I think that really just hypes everybody up. And as you can really kind of start to dissect and get into this game, there's no question the Kansas City Royals, because of that fan base and the 39,320 just ravishing fans, they do start out with some butterflies. And it definitely makes sense why. Even though they're Major League Baseball players, and even though they go through this year in and year out, this is different. This is a playoff atmosphere. This is something that truly provides that atmosphere that you don't get in every home game. And I think that's why they start out the way they do. And we'll definitely talk about the Kansas City Royals and what not a better opponent than the Minnesota Twins. And I think that's what was exciting too. Opening day at Kauffman Stadium delivered exactly what Kansas City Royals fans were hoping for. And many people on social media were predicting a blowout. That was far from the case. Although the Kansas City Royals would come out with a gritty, electric 3-1 victory over the Minnesota Twins. And I think they really are setting the tone for the 2026 season. They could easily, ladies and gentlemen, be 3-1 right now. They easily could, but they are 2-2, and that's just how it is. But they're building momentum. We're seeing this team really start to kind of find their way. They're starting to find the bats, and they're starting to definitely get the starting pitching. And that's one of the most key things we're going to talk about in this video. On a warm March afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, could you not have asked for a better day? You could not have asked for a better day outside of maybe the wind blowing 15 to 20 miles an hour. Outside of that, it was a gorgeous day for a home opener. The energy inside Kauffman was undeniable. But it was the Twins who did strike first. And I think that, to me, is where the butterflies came into effect. And I truly believe That is where Kris Bubic obviously was it didn't look like Kris Bubic in the first inning. He didn't make a ton of mistakes. He really didn't make a ton of mishaps outside of the home run in the second inning to Matt Wallner. But Kris Bubic really was kind of fighting the slider a little bit. It was kind of hanging up. It was staying outside. His fastball was sitting 91, 92 miles an hour. But the thing is when you have a guy that settles in the way he did after giving up that home run, he settled in, ladies and gentlemen, and gave you a great outing. And, it was impressive. Matt Wallner launched a towering 424-foot solo home run. There was no fence that was going to protect that home run. I even think it splashed down into the fountains. So he connected 100% with that baseball, and it gave Minnesota an early 1-0 lead. And really, it briefly quieted the crowd, but I don't think that really was an anticipation that it was just going to stay 1-0. The wind was blowing. Kansas City, in their home stadium, Kauffman Stadium, 39,320 fans were not going to let this be just a 1-0 game. And I was listening to the broadcast at the same time, and Denny Matthews even said on the radio, I don't believe that's going to be the only home run we see today because of the wind and a lot of factors. And that was the case. The Kansas City Royals responded immediately in the bottom half of the inning and in a way that hasn't always defined this team. And I really think there were two very unsung heroes in this game to give you the victory. The Kansas City Royals in the offseason, one of the biggest needs that they needed to address was the outfield production. They needed to address that. MJ Melendez was not cutting it, ladies and gentlemen. And he really kind of struggled in the outfield. We know that because we've covered it multiple times. In a market that never sleeps, one name rises above the rest. Lisa Miller from Dan Lynch Real Estate. Trusted by hundreds and recognized across the Midwest. She delivers results when it matters the most. With over 13 years of experience and licenses in both Kansas and Missouri, Lisa isn't just selling houses. She's helping you find a place to call home. Whether you are a first-time home buyer, looking to upsize, or selling your current home, Lisa makes the process smooth and stress-free. As a local expert passionate about building lasting relationships, she ensures her clients feel confident and satisfied every step of the way. Don't wait, your perfect home is just a call away. Contact Lisa today at 913-579-3246 or 913-369-3000 or visit LisaMillerSellsKC.com. Let Lisa Miller at Lynch Real Estate help you start your next exciting chapter. And let her know the beat of KC, Lucas Murphy, sent you her way. But ladies and gentlemen, two people absolutely changed the game today, and they were unsung heroes. The first one came from the long ball, and that was from Kyle Isbell, who has an absolute record with Woods Richardson. There is a video going around there where Woods Richardson is giving Kyle Isbell a hard time because in his previous at-bat of that outing, he laid down a beautifully placed bunt that was well executed. Woods Richardson is giving him a hard time, acting like he's going to bunt again. And then at very next at-bat, Kyle Isbell would take him deep. The same thing, not necessarily with the bunt aspect, but Kyle Isbell would take Woods Richardson deep, and he would give the Kansas City Royals a 2-1 lead, driving in Jonathan India and truly igniting the stadium. The blast again gave Kansas City a 2-1 lead that they would never surrender. It was a surprising source of offense as Isbell entered the game, really not known for his power, as we know that. Kyle Isbell is known for trying to get on base and be a productive runner as other guys, the top of the lineup comes up from Maikel Garcia, Bobby Witt Jr., and the list goes on and on. That's what his role is. But ladies and gentlemen, he flipped that script today and gave you a 2-run shot that gave the Kansas City Royals a lead that they would not surrender. And I think that was an impressive opportunity. What is going on, Kansas City? The beat of KC here. And I want to provide you an opportunity to check out one of the most coolest apparel companies that exist out there. You know, we take pride in what we represent, and that's why the beat of KC is teaming up with Homage, the brand built on celebrating sports, pop culture, and moments that defy us. Homage isn't just another clothing company. No, they're not. They specialize in ultra-comfortable, premium-quality apparel that blends vintage vibes with modern style. We're talking buttery soft tees, ladies and gentlemen, classic graphics, throwback logos, and iconic gear that brings real-life nostalgia back to life. From repping the Kansas City Chiefs to rocking the Kansas City Royals all season long, Homage helps you wear your loyalty loud and most definitely proud. Their designs honor legendary teams, unforgettable eras, and the culture that makes cities like Kansas City so special to you and I. And now through our partnership with the Beat of KC, you got the perfect excuse to upgrade your game day gear. Premium comfort, timeless style, pure KC pride. Make sure you guys scan that QR code if you're interested in any type of apparel related to Kansas City. Remember, Homage and the Beat of KC. Because in Kansas City, we don't just support the culture, we wear it. And again, pitching set the tone. After that, Kris Bubic absolutely honed in, locked in, and gave you 6 innings, only 2 hits allowed. That 1 earned was that home run, and he worked around 3 walks. If that's what you're going to get from your starting pitching in a consistent basis, ladies and gentlemen, the sky is the absolute limit for this Kansas City Royals team. You've now had 3 starting pitchers that have gone 6 innings. Michael Wacha went 6 innings in Atlanta, gave you 7 Ks. You follow that up with a Seth Lugo, 6 1/3, and absolutely just dominated the Atlanta Braves. And then you follow that up with Kris Bubic going 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned, and worked around those 3 walks. Impressive showing from a starting pitching staff that is going to be very impactful this year. You know, it's going to be. If they consistently are pitching like that and they're finding their groove, they're working with their veteran presence in Salvador Perez and the young, youthful Carter Jensen, this is going to be an impressive showing. Bubic kept the Twins off balance all afternoon, continuing a trend of Minnesota struggling against left-handed pitching. From there, the bullpen slammed the door shut. Daniel Lynch, the 4th, bridged the gap, came in, gave you what you needed. Nick Mears handled the bridge gap to get to your closer. Today, it happened to be John Schreiber. He closed it out for the save. And so that's what you want to see. There was a lot of question marks around this bullpen, and I think rightfully so from a closer perspective. Carlos Estevez goes and gets absolutely clobbered in Atlanta. He takes 104 miles an hour, I believe, off Michael Harris to the foot and is dealing with an injury now. So there's a lot of questions on who's going to be closing out games. I truthfully felt, and I even tweeted out, I felt today was going to be Alex Lang. But they've had a lot of confidence in John Schreiber, and that's who handed the ball in the closing situation. And he closed the door, ladies and gentlemen. The trio combined to allow 0 runs and no late threats, preserving the win. And I think that's what's impactful. But where did that other run come from? Insurance came late. In the 7th inning, Isaac Collins. Ladies and gentlemen, I did not have it on my bingo card. I did not. His first hit in a Royals uniform was absolutely launched. Definitely aided for sure with the win because he hit it to left field, and it was definitely aided because of the fence being moved in. But Isaac Collins' first hit in a Kansas City Royals uniform was a home run. It was an impressive one. It was a solo home run, and again, his first hit of the season. It extended the Royals' lead to 3-1. It felt like more comfortability is what it did. It provided breathing room for the bullpen. And so the Royals, 3 runs, 7 hits, no errors. The Twins, 1 run, 4 hits, and 0 errors. All runs were scored via the home run. And I think, again, due to the wind, really, again, you can take into consideration the fact that the fences were moved in. And the wind was blowing out to left field, ladies and gentlemen. It was really blowing from right to left. They even put on the broadcast a few times, the wind factor, where the wind was blowing. And so I really think that helped the Kansas City Royals. And you got to give your props to Kris Bubic, because the Minnesota Twins could have did the exact same thing, but he kept them off balance, like we said, and it was impressive. The bigger picture, this wasn't just a victory, it was a statement. The Royals showcased timely power, strong starting pitching, lockdown bullpen execution, and I think to really even provide you one last point was the fact that your 2 home runs came from people you just don't anticipate truthfully hitting those home runs. Kyle Isbell and Isaac Collins. Isaac Collins, ladies and gentlemen, his first hit, maybe that sparks him and gets him going. The switch hitter we acquired in the offseason for Angel Zerpa, as well as Nick Mears, both contributed today. And so it was impressive to see. I think we're really kind of seeing this Royals team start to figure some things out. Yes, some players struggled, but that's going to be day in and day out. You forget the game prior and you move on to the next one. Opening day belonged to Kansas City, ladies and gentlemen, and that's what you want to see. In front of a packed house, the Royals combined unexpected power, dominant pitching, and clutch execution to take down a division rival. Another key point, the fact that this is a division rival that you need to get as many wins as you possibly can. If this game is any indication, this team isn't just here to compete, They're here to take and make noise in 2026. I appreciate y'all checking out this video. Make sure you guys smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and we'll continue to pump out Royals content for you all. I appreciate y'all checking out the video, and you know how I end every video the exact same way. Have a good day.